welcome to episode 3, season 2, the not pointless episode. I'm feeling very happy, very positive today. This week we're talking about recent results, of course. We're going back to 1991 and a season that actually started awfully but ended quite brilliantly, so potentially parallels to this season. Dan's got a very hot take, a lovely hot take this week on the club's social media. And Theo's joining us from his stats kitchen to tell us why Will Lancashire is going to be the greatest striker in our history. I'm feeling very positive today. I woke up with this spring in my step. We had a lovely little afternoon touting the pod outside ahead of the game yesterday, Dan. So shall we just start by giving a welcome to all our new listeners that we recruited, or should I say you recruited yesterday?
Yeah, you weren't the most active recruiter. Something about trying to remain cool in front of your daughter, which I kind of understood. It was a bit weird going up to people and just saying, listen to our podcast. But at the same time, Matt, really lovely to meet, fellow Yellows. And thank you as well to all the people who I met who said, no, actually, we do listen. We love the podcast. And there were a few of them. But yeah, a lovely day. And we coaxed, I think, a good few people into subscribing. I do sometimes panic, though, Matt, that, we coax people into listening and then they listen to us talking about John Narbett and they think, what the is this that we've just signed up for?
No, listen, I think they'll love it. What's not to love in many ways? 3 resplendent, young-ish men sharing quite excellent banter about John Narbett, among others. So, yeah.
Weird thing, Matt, I was chatting to this guy yesterday on the train coming home. It was a crowded train. He sat down next to me and he saw my shirt and he said, you're an Oxford fan then? I said, yeah. And we started chatting and I mentioned just in the chat about relegation from the Football League in 2006. And Matt, and I still can't get my head around this, he said, I wasn't born.
Oh, wow.
And that just, honestly, it didn't even occur to me that people weren't born then. It did get me thinking a little bit, Matt, all this kind of Narbett talk. Maybe we do need to change our points of reference a little bit. If we are going to reach younger audiences and so on.
So are you telling me now no more mention of Narbett or indeed Colin Greenall?
I don't know, Matt. I don't know. Kids do need to know their history, right? I'm not sure that Narbett should be part of that history, but I say we carry on.
The thing is, isn't it a bit of a trend, all this nostalgia at the moment? So, everyone needs to learn about Colin Greenall and how he was our highest ever paid for a transfer. For quite a few years.
I've forgotten that. Anyway, Matt, enough talk of players from the distant past. Although, having said that, the quiz that I'm going to present to you this week is kind of players from our distant past. It's international break. I've got an international themed quiz for you, Matt.
Okay.
Can you name the 7 players who have played for both England and Oxford United? This isn't a trick question. There's no under 21s or Bs or C internationals. There are 7 full England internationals who've also played for Oxford United. One of them you're not going to get.
Wow. My brain is going to all sorts of places. Wow. That's a tough one. Not one is leaping out at the moment.
Not one.
Oh, no, sorry, one is. Oh, God.
All
right.
One of them has nearly 50 caps.
Yes, I think I've got him.
And three, Matt, have played at World Cup finals.
Actually at the World Cup?
Actually at the World Cup. I think you've probably got one of them already.
I've got one of them.
There you go. There's some clues for you.
I've got my... For people who are watching on YouTube at the moment, you're wondering where I am, located in my house. I'm currently in my daughter's room. So I've just also picked up my daughter's school notebook and her pen to write down the answers. So at some point this term, she will look across this and go, "What? Who's John Narbett?"
John Narbett is not one of the answers.
He's not in the 7. Did you say 7 players? Was it 7, yeah?
7, yeah.
Okay. Listen, this pod's supposed to be about football. Should we maybe talk about football?
Let's do it. In fact, Matt, let's not do it. Okay, because before we start chatting recent results, I want to raise a philosophical question with you. Bear with me on this one. At the end of the game yesterday, there's a lad who sits near me, and he was saying to his mates, "We'd have won that if it wasn't for the lino ruling out Lancashire's header." Now, during the game, I'd been looking at my WhatsApp group, and one of the lads who was on the WhatsApp group was watching on a totally legal stream and had basically seen the goal and said it was offside. So I told this young lad that it was offside, and he turned around and went, "Oh, damn." Whereas my reaction, Matt, was, "Phew." It got me thinking, is it better, Matt, for a goal to be legitimate and then be ruled out? Or is it better for the goal to be actually offside and then ruled out? How do you feel on that one?
So, this has really got me thinking. It made me, think as a fan, because I knew you were going to ask this question because you kind of prepped me about it. And I'm with the other lad. I like that sense of injustice. I don't know what it is. It's like, isn't that why we love football? You take the rough with the smooth, and there's those moments when it's that sense of injustice which almost brings you together even more. I know that's probably a really weird thing to say, but I think that's me.
So you'd rather feel injustice and then be able to say, "Oh yeah, yes,
We would have won. We would have
We'd have
won.
won if it wasn't for that." Whereas I always feel like I hate being injusticed. Right? I'd much rather, I was like, "Oh God, thank God it was this. Thank God it was offside," because otherwise,
Can you remember that? Yeah, it was obviously at the Sam yesterday. The Frank Lampard goal against Germany just before half time. I forgot, with World Cup or Euros or something, where it hit the bar, clearly over the line, went out, no goal. I don't know. It just made me feel better about losing in some way. And I don't know. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Very weird. But yeah. There we go. That's me.
Listeners, what do you think? Leave a comment or message us on our various socials. You love our socials, Matt, don't you? Which are your favourites?
I think my current favourite, and I encourage all listeners to head there, is our current TikTok videos, because they are wonderfully put together by our editor, who is clearly on big money because he's very skilled and very good at finding archive and stitching it all together. But in all seriousness, take a look at our TikTok because it's a different level. Our Instagram's brilliant. I'm told Blue Sky is growing, but I must confess it's not a social media zone I frequent all the time. Have I missed any others out?
Our X, which you keep promising to get up and running.
X is up and it will be up and running soon, so we should be able to direct people to our X page soon.
All right, let's actually talk football now, Matt. And let's start with yesterday's Coventry game. Bloody great, wasn't it? Although I must admit, half time I thought we were going to get absolutely drubbed, but the second half we were magic, weren't we?
Absolutely magic. So I'm going to put out there to start a new weekly feature, which I'll come to in a moment, okay? But at half-time yesterday, I messaged my dad and I said, just to let you know, our whole season could unravel very, very quickly. I said to Dan at half-time, I'm sorry that this is not looking good. This is not. And Brannigan, by the way, he can go. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think I said that at half-time. At the end of the match, Cameron Brannigan is the best player who's ever worn a yellow shirt. And suddenly, I'm really excited about so many different areas around the pitch and our new signings and so much. So anyway, Dan, I want to start this week with maybe a new feature. It might not become a regular feature, but let's see how it goes. Matt's top 5 takeouts from the latest game. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out a headline or a thought from me, and then we discuss that. Okay?
Go on then. Are you ready for this episode? Have you got 5 things?
I've got 5 things.
Do it.
So first one is BDK is Rolls Royce.
Agreed. What a performance yesterday.
Gravy and different gravy.
There was one moment. I'm not a tactical genius, Matt, but there was one time where I saw him. He went on a one-man press, and it was a little bit, I thought, for the crowd. You know, like when when the player really wants to get the crowd on their side, and he did this kind of one-man press. And I'm not a tactical man, but I actually thought, because all the people around me were like, oh, brilliant, look at him go, what a hero he is. And I actually thought, I bet the manager's going wild because we'd have totally lost our shape because he was basically so there's a little bit of him that I think at the moment is almost trying too hard to please, but I think there's a hell of a player in there, and his little passes and his through balls, and great player. Agreed. Rolls Royce.
Passes, all right, so we agreed on that one. Number 2, Lancashire is a tub-thumping centre forward, and I'm here for it.
And if anyone knows about centre forwards, Matt, it's you. So yeah.
Well, it's the first time I've really kind of watched him and really like studied him, and I thought that goal against Hull, maybe a bit lucky, like he is a massive upgrade on the Spurs striker we had last season, whose name
Scarlett,
I think. And he reminds me a bit of a kind of Rory Delap, a kind of put himself everywhere. Obviously got a massive eye for goal. I thought that one that was ruled out, I thought, oh, what a striker's finish that was, by the way.
Oh, the injustice.
But just, latching on to Brannigan's, the knockdown from Brannigan's free kick and picking up the pieces, I just thought, like that. And also, what I loved is when Prellick came on, those two, that's going to upset the defence. Like, they were doing stuff, putting themselves about. Oh, I enjoyed
that run from Prellick. The set up, the chance, the BDK then pulled back, and was it Dembele whacked it over? That was a great run.
I know, wasn't it? Actually, Prellick didn't make my top 5 takeouts this week, but I think he's worth a chat. Number 3, Cummings save just before half-time stopped the season from unravelling. Now, Cummings had a bit of a strange game yesterday because obviously that first goal, he would have been disappointed with it. No goalkeeper likes letting in a free kick, even though I don't think he could have done a lot about it. And he seemed a bit tentative throughout the game, like his distribution was a bit, oh, what shall I do? Do I stick or twist? That kind of thing. But watch it back. The save that he made just before half-time, I've forgotten who it was against, but he came out really quickly and turned it around for a corner, was superb. If we'd gone in 3-1 down, and then we'd lost yesterday, international break, and I think it was from that attack where I think it was Brannigan and Hellick started having to go at each other a bit, and there was just a bit of sniping all around the pitch. And I just thought the fact that we went in only trailing 2-1 was fantastic. I think, try and watch it back. Cummings save just before half time.
Good, yep, agreed.
Okay, number 4. Phillips has got big, wide shoulders, and fair play to him. And I thought that second half was his best 40-odd minutes. I thought, listen, going into that match, when everyone saw the team sheet, everyone was like, yeah. Phillips on there, a big sigh. If he put a loose pass in that first half, everyone was on his back. He must have gone into that second half thinking, I'm on to a hiding for nothing. And you know what? He stepped up. And is he the perfect player for us? No. I think the reason what a lot of people say is that the route puts him in because he's quite good at helping us keep our shape. And I think a few players go out of position quite quickly and stuff like that. I just thought he had a very good 45 minutes, and he's received so much criticism. I just wanted to just go fair play, mate. You gave us a little shift there.
I hated yesterday the way that all the people around me were just on his back the whole time. Like a couple of times, the passes that were nowhere near him, and they're like, "Oh, what? You're on so much money, you should be chasing that." And I just thought, you know what? No, you reached the point where it's just so unhelpful and so unproductive.
Exactly that.
To just and it wasn't. He didn't have a bad half. He just, no one was particularly brilliant in that first half. And second half, he came out and he was so much better. And that beautiful ball over the top to Lancashire, and he was holding the ball up well. And I thought it was really interesting as well in the post-game BBC show yesterday. They were talking about what an amazing character he is around the club, and apparently all the players absolutely love him. And you do just need sometimes that kind of steadying influence, the guy who isn't going to do amazing stuff, but who is as you say, keeping us in shape and encouraging and probably doing the work that people just don't actually see or appreciate. This is 4 out of 4, Matt. I'm loving your.
And the fifth one, which. If only we could mould all our wingers into one perfect winger. Dembele, Mills, Plaheta. I mean, Goodrum to a certain extent. There were two runs from Dembele when he came on. I was like, oh my life. Mills, when he's on it, and he's just so direct, and you know exactly what he wants to do. Plaheta, when the switch flicks, you just want him to have the ball the whole time. But it's all in, So I just think all of them. Everyone's saying, "Oh, where do we need to kind of bolster between now and the transfer?" And everyone's saying, "Oh, on the wing maybe." I'm like, well, they're good impact players, and sometimes they're brilliant from the start. Like, if we could just melt them all down and mould them into the perfect wing, it would just be perfect, wouldn't it?
That's a really interesting take. It's funny, isn't it, with wingers? I always think, probably at our level, the perfect winger doesn't exist unless they're Joey Beecham, right? Who are once in a lifetime type player. When you're running at extraordinary pace, it's much more difficult to produce the end product. The reason that David Beckham, had such a cultured cross on him was because he had no pace whatsoever, right? So he's just not moving quickly when he's kicking the ball. Whereas if you're running at 100 miles an hour and you're trying to cross the ball at the same time, it's more difficult, right? So my general feeling is the perfect winger at our level does not exist. We got pretty close, I guess, with Josh Murphy, but only for that 6 months. And for the other 18 months of his contract, he was shite. So, yeah, good one. Yeah, I agree with you. Melt them all down. Breed them together.
One final point for me from yesterday. Never, ever doubt Cameron Brannigan. One of my favourite moments I've ever seen on a football pitch was him rolling the ball 6 inches yesterday, when the ref's back was turned and the wall was looking the other way. Did you see that?
I did see that. I watched it this morning, actually, just as a prep for this, topical and relevant podcast.
I mean, he's so streetwise, right? He's so streetwise. I think my issue with him this season is he's almost too streetwise now. He's always looking for a foul, But yeah, no, I was. God, I haven't celebrated an Oxford goal like that for a long time. Probably since that Cardiff goal, actually. But yeah, it's good.
Listen, I don't want to talk too much about the other two games we need to cover. Anything to say at all about Brighton?
Well, I wasn't there. Didn't sound great. Obviously, there's a bit of chatter before the game against Cov about kind of fallout from that, and I think we're still waiting to hear that. Potentially around Ingram and possibly even Elliot Moore. But anyway, it got me thinking: what's the worst beating you've ever seen an Oxford team suffer?
I was at the 7-1 Birmingham at home, which was horrendous. Mike Salmon was our goalie that day. It was his debut. And my mate...
He's been mentioned twice in 24 hours.
We
were speaking about him before the game yesterday.
Yeah, well, I was chatting to my old mate Gunth at half-time. Gunth basically told us all. He said, Mike Salmon is the dog's bollocks, he said. And literally the first thing he did was just flap one into the back of the net. And then it was just downhill from there. It got worse and worse and worse and worse. And the poor lad, I think he left the club straight afterwards, basically, kind of in tears. Never came back. Played one game, let in 7. That was a bad day. The other day, we got absolutely spanked. We lost 6-1 at Southend. And there was a lad who I worked with at the time called Wayne Otto. And his brother Ricky Otto was playing for Southend. And he absolutely tore, I think it's Gary Smart, to shreds that day. Just absolutely. He was tricky and fast, and on his day, totally unplayable. And that day, he was unplayable. I think he got a hat trick. Yeah, I hate being drubbed. There's no good feeling about it at all. Oh, there's one funny thing though from the Brighton game that I did want to mention. And it was their song that their fans were singing, which I thought was quite funny. They were singing "Who Put the Ball in the Oxford Net?" Half of the Brighton B team, and I thought that was quite funny. Credit to Brighton. Bit smart.
Probably made that up on the hoof as well. So
yeah. I love a good impromptu funny song. Quick word on Birmingham too. You were at Birmingham.
Yes, I'll give you very quick takeouts. And to be fair, in terms of the performance, it's not too far off. For an away performance against a team who's spent 50 or 60 million over the last 2 years. We did okay, and on another day potentially could have nicked it. And actually, the result, now that we've had the Coventry game, almost kind of looks better. The performance looks better and everything, I think. So not a million miles away. The Oxford fans were amazing. Just a few takes from going to Birmingham. And I think I said in the previous pod that this whole Hollywood derby thing, Wrexham Birmingham, was annoying me. And there was just a few things that annoyed me throughout the day at Birmingham. The fact that, the stadium was completely full. And Dan, I think we both have been to the Blues down the years, and it's been like 4,000 or 5,000 people there. But even though it was full, it was a really kind of dead atmosphere from them, almost like expectant, like, right, we're Hollywood United now. We expect to beat everyone, even though we've just come up from League One. And I thought the Oxford United fans were brilliant, and that just kind of just annoyed me. And I thought, they were just a bit expectant and treating us like a small club.
It's funny you mentioned that. The Birmingham released a TikTok. I love my TikTok.
Yeah.
And they released a TikTok after the game, and it was a few of our chances, which admittedly weren't great chances, and they put a silly sound effect on our chances, and then they showed their goal and said, "That's how you do it." And I just thought that is such a classless thing to do. Right? It is so classless. Like, this is a team, Birmingham, who over the years have been, sometimes been good, sometimes have been rubbish, but they have been up and down, right? And they should know more than anyone how football can bite you in the arse, right? As you say, I went there in 1989, Matt, and we drew 0-0, and their stadium was absolutely falling to pieces. They were the worst team, one of the worst teams ever to play in the Football League ever. They finished that year with something like 18 goals or something. They were absolutely shite. And that's Birmingham. That they've been that. Now they're going through a glory stage. So to start giving it that on the socials, I mean, I just really hope it goes belly up for them this season. And off the back of that, because football clubs their social media should be all about supporting themselves. You do not take the piss out of other teams, right?
Totally agree.
They're a crap, classless club. Delusions of grandeur, kind of like a West Ham or a Chelsea of the Midlands, I would say.
Probably a West Ham, to be fair.
I hate Chelsea as well.
Yeah, I know, but Chelsea won stuff.
Yeah, true.
See what I mean?
But they were crap also before they got money.
True.
Matt, on the subject of social media, I have a hot take, and this might become a little bit controversial. I don't know. I currently hate Oxford United's social media. Having just talked about Birmingham's, ours isn't that bad, right? In terms, it's not kind of classless, but it's just so generically bland at the minute. It is so boring. I'm just going to give you some examples, like from yesterday. Pictures of the players arriving with the words "final preparations," handshake emoji, right? Pushing on. Right? Points shared at home. We go again. It's just like it's 2 or 3 words, full stop, emoji, and it's bollocks. It is bollocks, Matt.
Tough day in the office.
Yeah, exactly. Jinx. And I know it's difficult, especially like, we're trying to be professional. We're trying to reach audiences like, from all over the world, one particular part of the world in particular, right? But it's not our club. Our club is it's always been human. It's been, it's a personality. It's something that we love, and they've stripped away all of that love, and they've just turned it into this bland, humorless, unable to kind of laugh at itself. We used to have brilliant social media. There was a time, I think it's the Appleton era, where the Twitter handle at the time was oufc Live, so everyone called it oufc Clive, which was quite funny. And they were really funny then. They would laugh at themselves, and they would interact with supporters, and there wouldn't be any kind of bland, generic corporate nonsense. I asked somebody yesterday who the people were at the time who were running it, and the 2 names who came up were Sarah Gooding and Kath Faulkner. They ran it, and they were brilliant. They really got the relationship between the club and the fans And that's really missing at the minute. You know, everything looks good. Don't get me wrong. You know, all the videos are nicely produced and they're slick, but it's just it's bland. I don't feel like it's my club at the minute. I don't get the love for the club at the minute that I always used to.
I've got an idea, Dan.
Go on.
Should we try and get Kath or Sarah on? That would be great. I'm surely they're amongst our millions and millions of listeners. Kath or Sarah, if you are listening, get in touch. We'd love to talk about your time at the club and your social strategy.
We could learn from it ourselves. Yeah, come on.
Dan, I totally agree with you. But it's one of those things. It's like if you are... I mean, we could do a whole pod on things that happen when you become a championship club. Or it's like this professionalisation, but it turns into kind of a bland nothingness. And it's like an identikit kind of process of these updates. You're right. And suddenly that connection between club and fan gets lost because there's just a bit of a detachment. I did think there was a period last season where they were trying a few bits, whereas leaning into that, the local area, and maybe it's a bit around that kind of Des time, wasn't it? I think, and there were a few videos towards the end of last season that they then played on the big screen, which were quite nice. But certainly that kind of, that just that kind of jokiness or whatever you want to call it has kind of definitely gone. And I think corporate, you kind of hit the nail on the head, but it's just become a bit bland and a bit nothingness. So if anyone from the club is listening, shake it up, have a bit of fun.
Have some fun. Yeah. We go again, Matt. We go again.
We go again. So, before Saturday, it was, I think, fair to say, a fairly stinky start to the season, but not our worst, Dan.
Didn't Appleton have a really bad start?
He did, that's very true. But the worst run from the start of the season was in 1991-92, when under Brian Horton, we lost our first 5 games. But ultimately, it turned out to be one of our most memorable seasons, with a final day I don't think any Oxford United fan of that vintage will ever forget. Run VT.
It's 1991, and having narrowly missed out on the playoffs the previous year, Brian Horton's team started the season optimistically. After taking the lead at Port Vale, all seemed well with the world. But then, from nowhere, Martin Foyle, whom we'd sold just a few weeks earlier, scored twice, and one of the wildest seasons in Oxford's history was underway. After 5 games, we were still pointless, but it was off the field where things were about to get really bad. News came through of former chairman Robert Maxwell's death, and as his empire collapsed, his debts were called in. A fire sale ensued. Simpson, who'd we turned down offers of over $1 million for, was now sold for $500,000. Nogan and Steen also went, and so now most of our attack had gone in the splash of a tycoon in the ocean. Surely we were doomed. Not a chance. In came local youth teamers Joey Beecham and Chrissy Allen, and soon results started to turn. A 5-3 win over Swindon, a particular highlight.
As he went through for Oxford's 5th.
Joey really was the shining star and was turning in regular match-winning performances. But after such a bad start to the season, we were always playing catch-up, and we were still in the relegation spots going into the final game of the season, away to Tranmere. Winning alone wouldn't be enough. Plymouth would have to lose. Oxford took the lead, only to be pegged back by a John Aldridge equaliser. But having missed similar chances, Joey burst through once more and scored what proved to be the winner. Anxiously, the fans awaited confirmation of the news that Blackburn had indeed beat Plymouth. And finally, we could celebrate. A mad season that saw the club's future threatened, but which also saw the emergence of a hero, a season we won't forget.
What do you remember of that season, Dan?
It was a wild season. I was playing Saturday morning football at the time, so I didn't go to as many games that year as I probably normally would have done. I reckon I went to about 8 or 9, mostly unsuccessful. What I do remember, though, is Joey coming into the team and that feeling of excitement. Here is like a local lad, he's one of ours, and you could tell he was going to be good. And he was replacing Paul Simpson, who really was that good. You know, Paul Simpson was irreplaceable, but we upgraded for free.
It's mad because Paul Simpson, I think, was the first Oxford United player who I just idolised. Obviously, you know, I started supporting Oxford in about 85, 86, and I kind of, you know, loved what the team was doing, all that, and I loved David Langan. But Paul Simpson, I was like, he was just so good, and he was so consistent. Paul Simpson, he was so consistent. We spoke about wingers before, but he was a winger, but he'd do so much more than that. He was almost like a complete midfielder. He was up and down. He was everything. God, he had a great free kick. He was like an all-round player. So I was absolutely gutted. It was just my love affair with Paul Simpson was too short-lived. But as you say, then in came a certain Joey Beecham, a certain Chrissy Allen, and suddenly everything kind of turned rosy and bright. You know, we started with 3 defeats and we got a draw. But Dan, who will be our Joey of this season, do you think?
Question.
I know it could be this winger that I'm moulding out 4 players.
Yeah, the DNA, the merged DNA. I mean, it'd be lovely if it was Tyler. And obviously, when Tyler came into the team, there was a lot of kind of talk about the similarities between him and Joey. You know, the jinking runs, the eye for the spectacular goal, the local lad, all that kind of stuff. I mean, Tyler's, I don't think, in great form at the minute. I think it's fair to say. I think he's absolutely got the quality to come back, and we forget he's a young lad who's just gone through a massive change in life. Tyler's going to find his form at some point, and he'll lead us on a chart.
For our younger viewers, obviously we've spoken quite a lot on this pod about John Narbert. We've spoken quite a lot about Colin Greenall. We've been reminiscing this week a bit about this season. Could you tell our younger viewers, and I'm putting you on the spot a bit here, about someone called Trevor Aylott?
Funnily enough, one of the games we went to that year, took all my work colleagues down to Millwall. I'd warned them all we were bad, and I warned them how bad Trevor Aylott was. Trevor Aylott was this extraordinary signing that Brian Horton made. We had, at the start of that season, we had an abundance of quality up front. We had Nogan, we had Steen. I know they got sold in the year. We had John Durnin. And for some reason, Brian Horton signed Trevor Aylott, who is 6'4". I mean, he may have been a player 10, 15 years previous, but by the time he joined us, he was so bad and so slow. I mean, if people whinging at Phillips yesterday, they needed to watch Aylott. This man moved. He had the turning circle of the QE2 mat, honestly. He did, and he wore a headband. And the thing, he did this on the halfway line, wearing his headband, which basically, like, keeper, whack it onto my head, and the keeper would whack it, and it wasn't literally on his head because he was so slow he couldn't move.
I mean, he was like a low-grade Billy Whitehurst, and downgrade. But
I'm trying to think of a modern day equivalent, like, you know,
well, let's
I was
hope
going to say Julian Alsop, but you know,
let's hope
terrible
it's not
player.
But listen. We've started this season slowly, I think it's fair to say. But let's take the spirit of that 91-92 season, and let's hope for an equally exciting and happy ending to this story. So Dan, you've got a few loose ends to tie up from previous episodes.
Yeah, Les Robinson, friend of the pod, who we did a lovely interview with back in episode 14 or 15. He got back in touch with me about the singing of the song "You Are My Sunshine," which is another thing we've talked about in a previous episode, which was a song released by the 1996 promotion team. Although no one who we've spoken to actually wants to admit to having been a part of the recording. Now, he cryptically sent me a message saying basically he couldn't remember singing the song, but did vaguely remember going to a recording studio.
Typical Les. Thanks for that, Les. I mean, you've actually only muddied the waters there, to be fair.
So we don't know if Les was part of the singing or not, but we'll listen closely to see if we can pick up his northern
What else you
tones.
got?
Another bit of correspondence we had. Andy Hill, whom I'm credited with owning an OG 1980 kit, the Adidas one. He got in touch to clarify he doesn't actually have an OG, but he has a recent replica. But what he does own, Matt, and I'm going to edit on a picture of this into our YouTube edit, is he owns an OG John Aldridge 1984-85 match-worn shirt with number and everything. So have a look at this on YouTube because it is a beauty.
Has he got it framed or?
He actually offered to lend it to us for the podcast, but I can't take that responsibility.
No, that's far too much responsibility.
Yeah, imagine
amazing.
my wife would pick it up and stick it in the wash and wash off the signature and stuff, and that'd be that. You know.
really, really bad. For first-time listeners, we did do a greatest ever kit episode, and I think we decided, it was episode 14 of last season, that the best two ever kits that Oxford United have had was the Adidas of 1980, and then that Spall number, which we're talking about here, from 1982 to 1985. Of course. So go back and listen to that one if you've not listened to it, because it was a lot of fun recording that one.
And on the subject of that shirt, on Facebook, there was a US-based fan called Manu Diaz Jr., who posted a picture of his replica 1980 shirt, and he promised to spread the word of our podcast in the US if we gave him a mention. So,
Manu Diaz Jr., I'm so happy that we have a listener from the US called Manu Diaz Jr. So welcome, Manu. Thank you for listening, and don't let us down. Spread the word across the US.
Here's an impromptu quiz for you, Matt. What's the only player we've ever had whose name finished with Junior? He was a goalkeeper who played half a game, if that.
Yeah, I remember him, but I can't. Go on, tell me.
Hubert Busby Jr.
Oh yeah.
Who came on against Wickham. He came on against Wickham.
Yeah.
On a televised game. This was when we were in our absolute doldrums.
Dark days, wasn't it? Yeah.
And he came on, and his first action was he saved a penalty, like literally the first thing he ever did. And then the referee made the penalty taker retake it, and he scored. And he came on wearing, like, he didn't have a shirt because
He didn't look very professional. That was it. That's what I remember about him. Did he wear like a baggy shirt, or did he have tracksuit bottoms or something?
Yeah, sweatshirt. Basically, they'd kind of drawn the number 1 on the back of.
Kind of sums up the club at that time.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome, Manu. Don't let us down. We've done our thing. You give us a good mention now to all your friends in America. We'll see a spike, Matt, in listeners from the US.
Yeah, and finally, a bit of potential social media interaction, interest, exciting news update.
Yeah, finally. You know how we always think that social media listens to us, or our phone listens to us. After we mentioned John Narbett the other day in an episode, who did Facebook recommend as a friend to me?
Stop it.
It was John bloody Narbett. Honestly, I couldn't believe it. He is now living in the US as well, maybe with Manu Diaz Jr. Who knows? Wow. And he's some sort of banker. I think it is.
Is it really the same one?
Well, it looks like him. It really does look like him. So, yeah. I mean,
should we get him on? Should we get him on the pod?
What are we going to ask him? Why did he run so funnily?
Did he run? Oh yeah, he did. He did run funny, didn't he?
Run like this for listeners only. He had his elbows out all the time, kind of like.
Just a thought. If we do get him on, can we make sure that he doesn't listen to any of the back catalogue?
I don't think we can.
Quick impromptu one for you then. Which of Narbert, Nick Cusack? Why have we not spoken more about Nick Cusack on this pod? And Dave Collins was the most disappointing signing.
We signed all 3 in that summer. It was the summer after Joey had kept us up at Tranmere, and they came in as our 3 exciting new signings. Yeah. I'll tell you who was the most disappointing of the 3. And even though John Narbert played approximately 5 games for us and was useless, Nick Cusack will always be my biggest disappointment, because we apparently tried to sign Stan Collymore instead. And we offered something like 95,000, and Crystal Palace wanted 100,000. So instead, we went, no, sod it. We're going to get Nick Cusack instead, rather than a young Stan Collymore.
I did not know that. The one thing with Cusack, though, he did score a winner, or I definitely got one of the three, away at Leicester. A game where we won 3-2 or we won 2-1, I forgot. Yeah. But that was great. But he didn't do much else. No. Well, he's been relegated to the end of the programme as a punishment for not appearing last week. But listeners, our very own Stato, our George Ellick, if you will, for the festival generation, our singer of songs, Theo, is joining us live and direct from... Is it his kitchen? Yes. And Theo, we know your mum listens, so no pressure, but you best make this good after she's hung on for 40 minutes to hear your voice.
Would it not just be easier, Theo, just to call her and tell her your statistical analysis and save her actually having to listen to this nonsense about John Narbert anyway?
Yeah, but then we wouldn't get the viewer numbers, would we?
Good point, yeah. Anyway, Theo, you wanted to talk about possession stats.
Yeah, well, I think we've all got our opinions on how this season has started, probably ranging from somewhere between poor and maybe a little bit shambolic at times. But I want to highlight one real issue that I think we're struggling with, and that's getting the ball and keeping it and doing anything with it. So just for reference, all of these stats are just the Championship games. They exclude the 2 League Cup games, and they're all from FootMob. But our average possession so far this season is just 36%, by far the worst in the league, 24th out of everyone. Accurate passes, 24th in the league. Progressive passes, that's any ball into the box or any ball more than 10 yards forward than we've had it in the recent period of play, still 24th. And we're miles behind everyone else on progressive passes. The top teams are averaging 25 more per game than we are. And not only are we struggling with the ball, we're struggling to win it high up the pitch as well. We've only done this 5 times all season where we've won the ball in the opponent's third. And just for a bit of reference, Pompey have averaged 5 in each of their games they play, and we may see them as possibly one of our relegation rivals, but their press, as we saw when they played us, is really strong. So you can see this puts us as a team in a really difficult position. We're not winning the ball high up the pitch, and when we do get it, we're really struggling to move it up the pitch and even just keep it. But the slight conundrum here is that we're actually doing all right in terms of our attacking statistics, with many largely comparable or even better than last season. If we just take one, it's just shots on target. We're currently 13th in the division, with averaging 3.5 per game. That's compared to 3.3 over the whole course of last season, which doesn't sound like a big difference, but it is nearly 10% more shots on target. So it's definitely something we're seeing an improvement in. So what's happening here? Why we're not getting the ball, but we're doing all right in terms of goals and getting shots on target. And I imagine his praises have been sung on this pod and many others, and it's Will Lancashire that seems to be making the big difference. He's obviously had a great start, a couple of nicely taken goals, but it's his general play that I want to highlight here. And as you might expect from the possession stats I've just mentioned, we're relying heavily on long balls. Last season, about 1 in 6 of our passes were long. This season, it's about 1 in 4. And that just plays into everything we've mentioned about these number of successful passes and things like that. And this is where Lancashire's ability is really helping us out. And he's winning 62% of his aerial duels and 56% of all duels, whether in the air or on the ground, which makes a massive difference when he's getting the ball lumped up to him from defenders. And without wanting to dig Harris out too much here, because he's had a tough week, if we look at his statistics last season, aerial duels, he won just 25%, so massive difference compared to Lancashire, and he won 32% of all of his duels. So Lancashire, it appears, is making the most of not much service, and that's giving us the opportunity to get near the opponent's goal. So it looks like we've got a bit of a gem there, and then maybe an improvement in possession stats, which wouldn't take much considering they're pretty poor. We could see us properly competitive in the Championship again. And the shining light that might make that happen is obviously Brian de Keersmacher, who made a big impact yesterday, and his successful pass rate and number of passes is considerably higher than Volks and Brannigan's has been in the very small sample size of games he's played so far.
transfer deadline day tomorrow. You're talking about how we are lacking kind of possession and things that we could do to fix it. Is there a player? How can you see us fixing this problem in the transfer window tomorrow?
I think that getting the number 10 in the games that I've seen, Pompey and Birmingham, our number 10 role was really struggled in both of those. I obviously wasn't at the game yesterday, but it sounds like it was a little bit better in the second half. So whether the player's already at the club or whether we need to look at someone to just link the midfield and the attacking players a bit better and get that number of progressive passes up.
Lovely stuff. Thanks, mate. Thanks for joining us.
No problem. Thank you.
Just time, Matt, for the quiz answers. I asked you who are the 7 players who played for England and Oxford United, and you said...
Well, what I'm going to say is I've been talking for the last 45 minutes, so I haven't had a lot of time to think about, but I've jotted down off the top of my head 7 players, and I think maybe of this 7, I think maybe I've got 4, maybe.
Go on then.
So shall I just... off the top of my head, and
do it.
You know, if I had half an hour, I think I'd do a lot better. Half an hour of just sitting and thinking. So I'm just going to rattle these out. Tommy Caton.
Incorrect. Under 21s only.
Oh, this has to be proper first team.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. All right. Mark Wright.
Correct. 46 caps for England.
46. Marco Gabbiadini.
Incorrect.
What? Oh, I thought he was a banker. Damn. All right, I'm not going to do very well here because I thought I've gone with my strongest. Jimmy Carter.
Incorrect.
Oh, man, this is not going well. Well, I know this next one's wrong because I think he only got up to England B and is Kevin Brock.
Incorrect, yeah.
Okay. Paul Simpson.
Incorrect. Oh, you've done bad.
Robbie Mustoe.
Incorrect. I'm going to put you out of your misery.
Well, I've got 1.
You've got 1 so far, yeah.
Oh, so now I need to think off the top of my head really quickly in the next 20 seconds.
Headband.
Oh, Fozzie. Steve Foster.
Fozzie. Yeah,
Okay.
played in the 1982 World Cup.
All right, Mark Steen.
Incorrect.
Oh. Right, just give me another 15 seconds. No, it's not Dunn, not Penny.
Dave Penny. Was it John Narbert?
I was going through teams.
Right, I can't. This is killing our podcast. Yeah, think about retention here, Matt. Right, the answers are Colin Todd, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Played 27 times for England in the 70s. Steve Foster, who we've mentioned. Mark Wright. Steve Perryman, one appearance for England. David Bardsley, 2 appearances for England.
Wow.
Ian Walker, goalkeeper on loan from Tottenham, 4 appearances for England, and the one you were never ever going to get, along with all the others you didn't get, was Colin MacDonald, who played for Headington United in 1949-50, and then played all of England's matches in the 1958 World Cup.
Yeah, fair play. I should have got Perryman. I probably should have got Colin Todd, but yeah, not too bad. Thanks for that quiz. I enjoyed that actually. So next up, what we got?
We've got Leicester next. I'm feeling relatively confident. Matt, you?
A lot more confident than I was feeling. I'm feeling very positive about what's to come, and it gives us a bit of time over the international break to get those injuries fixed and get a few more in. So yeah, let's see.
Good stuff. I think we need to call it a day, Matt. It's been a long old day. You've got some lunch to go and make for your family.
I'm going to go down to a very angry family, I think, in the moment.
What are you making? What's the...
It's a traditional roast today.
Ooh, very nice.
Chicken roast. So, there we go.
Lovely stuff. Well, listen, it's been great fun. Thank you for listening. If you've made it all the way to the end, don't forget to share it with your friends and leave a review or comment.
Yeah, to all those new listeners, I hope you enjoyed. And see you all next time.
The big man with a big goal on the big occasion.